I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening, 40-year-old boy podcast? And we were just talking. You know what? If there's an open microphone, folks, I'm just gonna be funny. That's how it's gonna work. I don't care where. There's an open microphone. I'm an open microphone. What the hell was that? Good Lord, I just choked on a sentence, and that isn't real. Don't choke on words, folks. Don't choke on words. That's like a public service announcement. Don't choke on words. But yeah, if there's an open microphone, I'm showing up and dropping knowledge, folks. I'm just dropping humor bombs. I'm going to hit people with funny fists. Fists of funny. That was a Bruce Lee movie that didn't get made. It was the next one he was going to make. Unfortunately, he ate it. And what color tracksuit would he have worn in that movie? Who knows? But it would have been fantastic. And let's see, that's mid-'70s, so he probably would have fought Rick Barry, I'm guessing. He would have fought another NBA player, Rick Barry. Or perhaps Artis Gilmore. Dude, that's what would have happened. Bruce Lee would have taken on fucking Artis Gilmore with his giant afro. Bruce Lee would have thrown a flying kick. Artis Gilmore would have ducked. Bruce Lee would have got sucked into the afro. And then literally an hour of the film is him trying to get out of the follicular trap that Artis Gilmore set for him. That's a follicular trap. Follicula. Isn't that an opera song? I don't know. Folks, that's what my head is like. That's where it goes. I ping-pong around, and whatever the fuck comes up, I talk about it. That's how it works with this show, particularly when I have nothing to talk about. And, I say that every week. I say I have nothing to talk about. But again, this beginning part is more or less because I think I've said this, as a comic, I don't have an opening act. I don't have an opening story, so I always wind up talking about what's happening or what's going on. And right now, that's what's happening on this show every single time. Because it just seems so unnatural to go, hello, everybody, once again, Mike Schmidt, here's a story from my life. Nobody wants that. People want me to talk in circles, because that's why they pay attention. And by pay attention, I mean subscribe and ignore. What can I tell you, folks? So it's Tuesday. Lily's eating a root beer pop. She's here. I don't know if you know. Lily's here. Things are okay, folks. Don't panic. I still get emails from everybody going, "Don't upset Lily." A, because they like Lily. They like Lily being involved, and B, because they think the show might shut down if I get rid of Lily, which is totally true. But again, with this new philosophy I have of any open microphone being funny around it, maybe I could just do like a random show with snippets all over the world. Like wherever, any drive-through, fast food drive-through, or any, or even fast food inside. That's my favorite part, is the inside one, because there you have access to the microphone. But the fast food drive-through, you're just kind of talking to a box. But inside, I could grab that microphone and do 10 minutes if I wanted to, as my fillet of fish was being broiled. Do they broil those? I don't think they broil those. Burger King is the broiling place, so they're broiling my my big fish. And isn't that I think that's Burger King's fish sandwich, the big fish? Isn't that what it's called? It used to be called a whaler, which is a great name. But then they probably went, a whaler is someone who fishes for whales. So we can't have that be our fish. That means we're eating the fishermen. We can't eat a whaler. And they can't call it a whale because then, nobody's eating besides Japanese people, because those people love whale. Do they? Or is it, no, Eskimos love blubber. No, they don't love blubber. They need blubber. Right? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know how these people with their seafood delectations go. Is delectations a word? I don't know. Might have just made it up. But and I love sushi. I love seafood. I don't think I've ever had whale. I'm not an Eskimo. Again, do they eat it? Who's picking on Eskimos at this point? There's two people in Alaska who write me all the time, and they are going to be furious with me. That's where Eskimos live, Alaska, right? They live in igloos, and they have comedy shows that go to Alaska, and I've never been invited. What a surprise! Which is fine. You know what? Don't invite me. I might just show up in Alaska, and if there's an open mic, I bust out a comedy show, wherever it is. Right at the corner whaler shop. So, folks, what did I do over the weekend? You're wondering to yourselves. You're thinking, what is Mike doing other than yammering in circles? What did he do? I think we know what I did this weekend, folks. I think I just watched The Dark Knight every single day for every minute of my life. That's all I did. I sat in the theater. I actually built a little tent around my seat so nobody could bother me. Zip the flap down, zip it up to watch the Joker, zip it down when other things were happening. But it was amazing. I don't know if you folks have seen it. And it's funny, all these people, like, the reviews were crazy and people loved it. And then I saw it and I loved it. And my brother loved it. And everybody I've talked to loved it. And now, of course, after 2 days of making, like, insane money and it's the #1 movie, the backlash has to start. Where people are like, Heath Ledger, he was kind of annoying. And it was a one-note performance. And one note? Really? And then I heard another guy who said that he didn't think Heath Ledger was one note. He thought that he was too many notes. Like he was using too many different accents and he was flying off the handle and he was all this. Yes, he was. It's called being the fucking Joker. That's what it's called. He's the Joker. Really? You're going to pick on a guy's performance that he's playing an insane criminal who wants the world to die. And you're going to say, yeah, he was kind of all over the place. Really? Wow, I can't believe that you're upset with that. But that's fine if you're going to find a reason to nitpick. Here's another nitpicky thing that I keep getting from people. Batman, his voice. Why did he talk like that? Why did he talk like that? Because he's fucking Batman. Is that your problem with it? That he had a crazy voice? How about the fact that he's driving a bat tank that turns into a bat motorcycle at some point? Does that bother anyone? Does your touchstone with reality expire at that point? No, it's just the voice that gets you? Fantastic. This is a billionaire who dresses up in pajamas and fights guys. But you're upset because he has a gravelly voice. Someone said, he'd have laryngitis if he talked like that. Really? Would he have laryngitis if he talked like that? Would he catch a cold from fighting people all night long? You're an idiot. Don't go. Don't ever go to a movie. Okay, that's what I'm going to say to you. Don't ever go. And this is coming from a guy who absolutely nitpicked King Kong to death because it wasn't realistic. And as I was nitpicking it, someone said to me, "Dude, this is a movie about a 100-foot gorilla." And I said, "Too fucking shay." That's how I did. I broke it up with that in the middle. I couldn't just say touche. I had to acknowledge that I had been completely owned, and I said, "Too fucking shay." But so I understand but just stop nitpicking movies, okay? I mean, there's no reason to nitpick. Movies aren't realistic. That's why they're movies. If you go see a documentary and there's a 100-foot gorilla, then we got a problem. Unless it's a documentary about a 100-foot gorilla. Then we're all on board. But if you go to see like Murder Ball 2 and it's a bunch of guys playing rugby in wheelchairs and then a 100-foot gorilla shows up, then you can be pissed off. But as it is now, let's all back off the nitpicking of films. Batman's got a weird voice. Yes, he's Batman. Is that okay? The guy, how about this? You don't want to nitpick it? How did his Batcave was in a dumpster that Michael Caine, that Alfred had to unlock and go in and take an elevator? Hey, who locks the door behind Michael Caine? Anybody? Michael Caine has to unlock 9 chain link fence things and a gigantic padlock with a huge chain to open it up and bring Batman a newspaper and a muffin, yet he doesn't lock the door behind him. You're telling me some crackhead didn't just wander in looking to stay warm and he makes off in the Batsuit? That happens. You could nitpick anything if you want. Sit back and suspend your disbelief, for Christ's sake. There's a guy running around with scars on his face killing people with guys in clown masks. But you're going to be pissed off at Batman's voice. Okay. Jesus God. I went at midnight, opening night. So we went to the ArcLight Theater in Los Angeles. I'm a huge fan of that theater because I like assigned seating. I don't like fighting with the masses. Here's what I don't like going to a movie and I'm second in line and then the guy first in line somehow saves 3 rows of seats. That's what I don't like. A guy will go ahead of me and get in and he'll lay across a row and then somehow spread sweaters on the rest of the seats and all the good seats are gone. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, these are saved. Saved for who? Oh, my friends are coming. Really? When? When will they be here? And you know who's really bad at this? Pat Francis. Because Pat Francis and we went and saw X-Men one night at midnight, one of the X-Men movies. And we walk in, and this guy is saving a row of seats. He goes, "These are saved." And Pat goes, "I don't think so." Moves the sweater and sits down. And the guy's like, "No, I'm saving seats. My friends are just..." And he goes, "No, no." And I go, "Pat, come on, man. Let's, And so we went and grabbed other seats because there were other seats available. But if there weren't, I probably would have backed Pat's play at that point. Because then the movie starts and those seats still aren't full. And then the guys show up, right as the film is starting. They miss all the previews and all that stuff. So they were coming. But, man, that saving seats is bullshit. I'm 55 years old. Man, that saving seats is bullshit. Meh. I'm going to go to bed at 9 p.m. and have some warm milk. Meh. I'm a baby. An old baby. Meh. God, the fuck am I mad about? I hate people who save seats in movie theaters, though. I hate a lot of things. Can we get that? I seethe. My rage knows no bounds, and yet I'm mad at nothing. I'm this guy. There's a comic in Chicago. His name's Kevin Naughton. Kevin's a nice guy, but his whole act is don't make me snap. And then it's like, don't make me snap about Cup of Soup. Holy shit, Cup of Soup. Don't get me started. Really? Who's mad at Cup of Soup? You? Because that makes no sense. Oh, I'll tell you something. This chewing gum, is it chewing? Is it gum? What is it? Shut up, Kevin. I mean, you're a nice guy, and granted, I haven't seen Kevin in 15 years. I mean, I hope he's still a nice guy. He and I drove once. We had a gig. We were on the road, and we drove to the UP of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, and I drove. Imagine this trip now. Okay, this is back in like 1994. We drove to the UP in my 1968 Lincoln with suicide doors. It was just this big gray black hard shell top monolith. I mean, it was gigantic. And he and I went. I can only imagine if I took that trip now from Chicago to the UP of Michigan in that Lincoln. If I did it now, it would cost $1,000 in gas. Because I mean, then it cost a lot of dough. But we split it in. So we spent the entire trip imitating another guy from Chicago, a guy named Bill Brady. He's a again, nobody cares about this. There's 5 people who know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to tell it anyway. There's a guy, his name's Bill Brady, and he runs a show called The Barrel of Laughs. The Barrel of Laughs it's his kingdom. It is absolutely his fiefdom. Like, it's at the Sinise's winery, Barrel of Laughs, and the Sinise family. And it's funny, this is a joint that my mom, when I was a kid, my mom used to go there and party. Like, she'd be like, hey, I'm going to Sinise's. And, and then I don't know what my mom would do, have sex with 9 guys at a bar. I don't know what my mom did on these parties. My mom was insane. All I remember is my mom would be getting high, listening to the Saturday Night Fever 8-track and getting dressed to go out. Imagine that. But it was great, because then she was going out, and I was like, hey, you know what that means? I get to stay up all night and do nothing. And then fail in school the next day. So, my mom would... so she went to Sinise's, and she used to party there. Then I get older, then I'm going to play at Sinise's. And Sinise's, I moved back from California to Chicago, and I need to start showcasing and trying to get work at clubs. So I go to Sinise's to work, and I have a showcase lined up. And Bill Brady used to do a bit called the phone bit. And Bill Brady would go up first on a Tuesday night, and he would do roughly 75 minutes of comedy. He would MC, he would talk to people, he would have these, it would be tutor time, where he would have these little, these shots that you could buy from girls walking around with bandoleros, and, but it was very much his show. Like, he would, at some point, he would grab a straw hat and a stool and sit down and sing Mammy. I mean, it was like one of those, anything that Bill wanted to do, Bill was going to do. He was in charge of that show. So I'm waiting to showcase, and Bill goes up and he does his time up front, and then he brings up a comedian, and the comedian does his time. And then Bill goes up, and in between that comedian, he does like 10 minutes. Then he brings up another comedian who's showcasing. Then he goes up after that comedian, and he does a thing called the phone bit. He gets a person in the audience, and he finds out that their mom is home babysitting the kids. So he's going to call them and pretend to be the police and say something's going on. Or he's going to call somebody's ex-girlfriend and try to get them back together. It's very very talk radio, morning zoo type of phone call trick. But he's going to do it, and it's on a speaker, so then everybody in the bar can hear it. And they all love Bill, and he'll do the phone bit, and then they'll carry him out on their shoulders, and then the rest of the comedy show can go to an empty room. I mean, it's that. So he's up there, and he's just jerking off on this phone bit, and it's going on, and he's going on, and he's talking to them, and he's taking the phone bit to its extreme. Like, I think he actually put on like a costume, as if they could see him over the phone. Like, he's got a mustache on, and he keeps winking at the crowd, and he's giving the shh, don't let them know that they're on a speakerphone. I'm sure they can't hear the clinking of glasses and the people stifling their laughter at the uproarious phone bit. So he's doing the phone bit. I'm in the wings. Now, this show started, I think, at 7:30, and I'm just showcasing to get work. That's all I'm doing. I'm new in town. I'm the new guy, and I'm in the wings waiting to go up. And it started at 7:30. I think it's 10 o'clock now, and there's still a middle and a headliner to go. This is just a death set. I mean, and I have to follow the phone bit. So he goes up, he does the phone bit. Takes forever. Fools the woman. Oh, this is crazy. I'm Bill Brady. Aha, you've gotten had on the phone bit at Barrel of Laughs. All right, fine. So then he brings me on stage, and I go up on stage, and I grabbed the microphone, and again, this is my first time there, so I don't know any of this, that he's the king of the place. I don't know that there are rules in this room. I didn't know that you can't say fuck. I'm going to tell you that right now. I had no idea. I also didn't know that Bill was kind of self-important and a nice man, but also not to be trifled with, especially in his room, because he's like the king and you can't take the piss out of him there. So I go up on stage, he finishes the phone bit, and he's like, my next guest. Because after all, you are my first guests. Let's bring up, and by the way, that's what Kevin Naughton and I did all the way to the UP. My next guest. Because after all, you are all my first guest. You may recognize them. They are the royal bodyguards for King George, Yippee, Yappy, and Yahooey. Like we did it with Kevin Naughton and I would bring up anybody to the stage because the trip to the UP is horribly boring. So we're just my next guest, because after all, you are my first guest. You may recognize him from his many years of work with Morocco Mole. Please welcome Secret Squirrel. Like we're doing every horrible cartoon character, every comedian, and really laughing our asses off. And again, not funny to you. I don't know why I'm boring you with it, but we could not stop laughing. But maybe that's what led Kevin to turn into the guy who's mad at everything at this point, Oh, envelopes! You are stupid, envelopes! All right, Kevin, calm down with the envelopes. It's enough. Don't make me snap bananas. Hey, bananas are a fruit. They're okay. Just let them hang on their hanger and everything will be fine with that. No, bananas and their deliciousness is all inside. Why do I have to go through the skin to get to the deliciousness of the banana? I don't understand it. Oh, don't make me snap bananas. Kevin, calm down. That's what Kevin's act is. That's what his act needs. He needs a straight man to try to calm him down the entire time. That would be fantastic. Kevin is just like, oh, I can't. You know what, Shoes? You and your laces making me tie you all the time. Don't make me snap, Shoes. Kevin, calm down. There are shoes that are slip-ons. You don't need to use the laces. You can just go ahead and easily slide your feet into the slip-ons. Oh, slip-on shoes. What do you think? You're too good for laces? What, you don't want to sit there for the whole process of having holes put inside of you? Don't make me snap, slip-on shoes. Kevin, calm down. It's okay. Slip-on shoes are not arrogant. They're just different. They're different from other shoes. They're different from you and I. Let's not get angry at slip-on shoes. I don't know that guy. I like that guy. It's like a Dr. Phil guy for Kevin's Don't Make Me Snap guy. Naughton, call me. Again, I haven't talked to Kevin in 15 years. He has no idea I'm saying any of this. Although maybe he's on a trip right now to the UP and listening to this on his iPod. He could be doing that. And you know what he's doing? He's going, oh, road signs. Don't make me snap. What do you mean turn left? I don't want to go left. Why, don't make me snap. Kevin, calm down. Kevin, just because a sign says turn left doesn't mean you have to turn left. It's just telling you that there's a left turn available here at this intersection. If you want it, you don't have to go there. Oh, choices. Don't make me snap, choices. Why do you make me think about so many different things, choices? I'm so angry at you. Kevin, calm down. There's freedom of choice. It's what we've got. But freedom from choice is what you want. That's right, I slipped in some Devo lyrics for you folks. Freedom of choice, ding, 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 is what you got. All right, so Kevin, oh, Devo, you and your songs, and you're still touring in your suits that match. Don't make me snap. Kevin, it's okay. Devo is a band that is very successful. They have their fan base. Doesn't mean you have to go see them. Again, freedom of choice. So, man, I hope someone gives this to Naughton. But then he'd be like, Schmidt, don't make me snap. Talking about me, I haven't seen you in 15 years. Kevin, it's okay. It's just Mike's version of expressing himself. He wasn't disrespecting you. He's not trying to make you snap, although he understands that pretty much anything is going to make you snap at this point. You are not unflappable, nor are you unsnappable, Kevin. You are ready to snap at any given time. Ready to lose it. Ready to flip your lid. Oh, lids! Don't make me snap, lids. Keeping in the steam and deliciousness of my vegetables. Kevin, it's okay. It keeps in the nutrients and it makes the vegetables better for you. I like that guy. I want to be that guy. I mean, let's face it. I got nothing else going on. I got to be Naughton straight man on the road. The guy who tries to calm him down from snapping. That's me. So what was I talking about? Oh, Brady. So I'm at the barrel and I'm waiting to go on. And I didn't know there were rules. I didn't know it was Brady's. I didn't know any of this. So Brady brings me on after the phone bit. And I get on stage. And I go, how are you, folks? I go, That took a while, didn't it? That phone bit, just to fool somebody with a telephone call. I'll tell you what, if that had gone any longer, I was going to go home and he could have fucking called me. That was my opening line on the stage where you're not supposed to make fun of Bill and you can't say fuck. And I will say that I killed it. That was great. That line got a huge laugh, and also like a weird. And I didn't know it at the time, but it got this weird like a weird roar. And like it seemed like too much at the time. Like granted, this is at a time, and let's face it, I think I'm great, folks. Okay, but back then I really thought I was great. Like I came because I started doing stand up in California, and then I came to Chicago with the idea of, hey, well, here I am in this hick town. I'm going to show these guys what stand up's all about. To Chicago, number 3 media market in the country, and I'm going to show up and show everybody what's what. I'm an idiot. So. And then that same night, I saw Mike Toomey perform and sat there and went, "Oh, that's what comedy is. I'm a moron." So, that was my opening line. I go, that went on a long time, didn't it? That phone thing. I tell you what, if it had gone on any longer, I was going to go home and he could have fucking called me. Huge laugh, crazy huge laugh. Then I do stand up and I do very well. And Bill Brady comes up and passes me, does not look at me, doesn't make eye contact at all. Goes up on stage and just goes, hey, you know what? Here's our, let's bring up our next guest. And he brings up the next comic. And then he comes by me and taps me on the shoulder. And just as it was this weird thing where he literally kept walking, tapped me on the shoulder and went bing, bing, bing. And did if you use your finger to go, come here. He did that over his shoulder. So I was supposed to follow him. So I, of course, went, well, I'm getting booked already. This is going to be fantastic. I'm about to go and lock down some dates with our friend Bill Brady. So I follow him into the back room. And this guy blow dries me for 8 minutes. Who do you think you are? You come into my room and you use that kind of language and you make fun of me, and I don't know who you are. You're here trying to get work from me, and why are you trying to ingratiate yourself? Wouldn't you try to have a little more class than that? And he's like 2 inches from my face, and he's letting me have it, and I'm stunned because I thought I did great, and he's just killing me. I mean, absolutely killing me, and then at the end of it, books me. To his credit, because he understood funny, and he was like, "You're a funny young man, but you don't need to be like that, and you need to learn that there's some rules in my room, and maybe you're new here." And the good thing was he completely recognized that I just didn't know what was what, but and booked me. And quite frankly, the other shows that I had there later in the future, I almost wish he hadn't booked me. One of the worst bombings I ever went through in my life was in that room. Because it was a room of regulars. And they would always be there every week. It was the same people, and they would come there and hang out. And it was Oak Forest, Illinois. Yeah, I think it was Oak Forest, Oak Lawn, Oak Forest. I always mix them up. But it was a rough and tumble, blue collar type of crowd, and you couldn't swear. So like I actually had a heckler say "fuck you" to me, and what am I supposed to say? "Oh, sir, that's a jaunty bit of business." What am I supposed to say back? I can't swear because I'm going to get in trouble. So you got to try and handle it. And my buddy Jeff came one time, and he brought a bunch of people from work, and they sat at like the center table. And I chewed it so bad that I just looked at Jeff in the middle of it once and just shook my head like, "Yep," and he just nodded like, "Yeah, this is bad." And it's one thing if Jeff sees me eat it, but all the guys from Jeff's work saw me eat it too. So then they think I'm pathetic, and it's just that's the worst thing is when people come see you and you don't do well, because then immediately they all go, "Oh, yeah, he's trying to be a comic." It's like, no, I actually make money at this. Believe me, I do. And then I had some amazing shows in that room too. I had a guy, and there were these guys at the bar, these like regular guys, and if you would have a good show, sometimes they'd come up and give you money. And one time they each gave me $20. So I was like, "Oh, that was a good show." Didn't quite make up for the sonic psychic beating that I took many other times in that room. But yeah, so I will tell you this: the worst incident of blatant racism I've ever seen in my life took place in that room. Because it was that kind of area in Chicago. And there was a comedian from Chicago. His name was Ricky Connor. And the thing was, he and Bill, they would kind of shuck and jive it up. And Ricky has passed away since then. So I look forward to his ghost coming to me in my sleep and telling me that this story is wrong. But I was there. But Bill would say, like, they would do all sorts of, like, crazy things back and forth. Would be like, here's Ricky, let's hope he smiles, and you guys can see him, ha ha ha, like all, and it was kind of accepted that was the level of the playing field in that room. Ricky would go up and he would do great shows. He would be booked all the time. So, but this time I'm working with him, and He goes up and he's doing his show, and then in the middle of the show, he starts talking to a couple in the front row, and it's a whole table of people. And it turns out it's these elderly people's 50th wedding anniversary. So Ricky makes fun of them, and he gives them a hard time. But then he's like, you know what, I'm going to buy them a drink. And he goes, what are you drinking? And the woman says, White Russian. And Ricky goes, oh, of course. You see the brother up here, you got to buy a White Russian. Absolutely. I get the message, ma'am. Ha, ha, ha. And, it's all fun, and everybody's having a great time. And, he buys her a White Russian, and it comes to the table. Ricky continues to perform. And then the show ends, and it was Saturday, so they're turning the room over for the next show. So that big party is getting ready, and they're getting their stuff. And this is after the show. Ricky's off. Everybody's paying their tabs, and the room is getting cleared out for the second show. As that party is standing up, the son of the couple who's getting married comes over, and he puts his mom's coat on, and he's helping her, and he goes, and the White Russian's still sitting on the table, untouched. And he says to her, hey, Ma, let's get out of here. You got to finish your drink. Let's take off. She goes, I'm not drinking a drink a nigger bought for me. Said it and meant it. Not even like, I mean, saying this in front of everybody. It wasn't like whispering to an aside into her son's ear. I mean, loud and proud, leather-lunged in front of everyone. I'm not drinking a drink a nigger bought for me. And because normally if you hear a comment like that, the next sound you're going to hear is either that person hitting the floor as a black guy punched them in the face, or you're going to hear my jaw hitting the floor and making a loud noise. Because, and that happened, just you didn't hear it over the laughter of the rest of the party. Yeah, of course, absolutely not. And then they just got dressed, and she left that drink untouched, sitting there on the table. And that was the kind of room you were dealing with, folks. So, maybe I didn't mind not doing so well in that room. But yeah, I was just stunned when she said it. Because I just, huh? And it was that kind of crazy. It was funny. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to have the kind of reaction that a black guy would have after he hears something really funny, like when remember when Arsenio would hear something really funny, and he would do like a crazy somersault and jump around and high-five everybody and just like act crazy? I wanted to do it when I heard that comment. I'm not going to drink a nigger bought for me. Oh! And I wanted to like run around and be like, no, you didn't. You did not say that, because that was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Holy God, you deserve to be kicked in your old stomach. What is wrong with you? Really? I mean, how much do you hate people if you're passing up free booze? That's a real prejudice that you have if you're not even going to, especially that woman, because she looked like she could have used this stiff fucking drink. I got to be honest with you. And she's going to pass up changing her brain around for 5 seconds just because of who bought the drink? Please. Just the most blatant act of racism I've ever seen with my own two eyes. But there's still, it's still early. There's still plenty of time. I hope to eclipse that at some point. God knows there's enough hatred floating around out there that I could absolutely see it happen. Let's hope so. Let's all keep our fingers crossed. So I went and saw Batman. So I go see Batman, and it was a zoo, as you would imagine at midnight. It's just this crazy amount of people, and all the crazy people come out. Not just the crazy amount of people, but like guys who are, and never has this term been more appropriate, batshit insane. All these guys dressed up as the Joker and dressed up as Batman. And there was a Joker. It was funny. I'm with my buddy David, and we're out there. And all the local news crews are doing stand-ups out there. And there was a Channel 2 newswoman, and she corrals a Joker and a Batman. And she's like, hey, could you guys have a fight behind us while I'm doing my stand-up? It'll be like Batman and the Joker are here, and they're having a little back and forth, and we'll do that story. And let's see. What do you think the amateur Joker and the amateur Batman said? No, that would go entirely against the integrity and spirit of the character. We wouldn't want to do that. Or do you think they said, yes, immediately, where do we stand? So they're doing that, and literally it's just Batman and the Joker. And it was the worst Joker ever. Like, he might have had a purple suit on and the makeup, but he was like Hispanic. So it was like a Hispanic Joker, and which, by the way, I think it would be pronounced Joker. I don't even think he's the Joker at that point. He's like Jesus. He just Joker. That's who he was. So he's the Joker, and he's there taking on Batman. And all they're doing, because they can't, they're not going to really fight, which I think they should have done, quite frankly. I wish they would have had, that would have taught the Channel 2 people a lesson, because they're doing a live stand-up. Just all of a sudden they come back and say that the Joker pulls out a shiv and shanks Batman in the gut. How great would that be? That would have been awesome. But no, instead they just kind of pointed in each other's faces like, you? Why you, Batman? Why I am the Joker, and then you should think about why. And they're circling one another, and they're grabbing it, and they're kind of shaking. And the thing is, I'm a foot away. And part of me is going, you know what? What if I just stepped in and broke it up? Like I felt, because it's on live television. And what if I literally just wandered into the shot and went, hold on a second, fellas. Can't we get along now? Batman and Joker, I don't understand. Why are you guys always fighting? Just like I didn't get it at all. Just like a guy who comes out and tries to quell the conflict. Or even to play like a minor character from the show. Like if I was Alfred. Like if I walked in and I was just like, sir, would there be anything else? I'm just like something stupid just to involve myself in some dumb way. And even though, part of me thinks it would be funny and YouTubeable to do that. But then the other 99.99999% of me goes, what the fuck are you thinking, idiot? Don't do that. You're not them. That's my main mantra. Whenever I go out, or mantra, whenever anything's happening, I go, you're not them. You see people doing ridiculously stupid things, and I'm like, I'm above the fray. What am I going to, I'm not one of those idiots who's going to fucking, take his shirt off and run around on live network news. It's stupid, horrible. You're not them. But they're going at it. Batman and Joker wrestling behind the woman on Channel 2. And here's the best part. They finished Channel 2. She's like, I'm Robin Blue Eyes for CBS 2 News. They turn the light out. She's like, thanks, guys. Channel 7 comes over and goes, fellas, can we get you to do the same thing behind our person? And did you think that the fake Batman and the fake Joker went, nah, you know what? We only do one show a night, sir. We couldn't possibly be bothered to go ahead and get involved. Or do you think the two amateur actors who want to be noticed went, yes, immediately, where do we stand? So then they go over and they reprise their roles as fake Joker and fake Batman having an argument on Sunset Boulevard. You can't park here, Joker. Why, I can, Batman. Who do you think you are? Unhand me, sir. And then the reporter's talking and smug, and the thing is, that person's just going, yeah, look at these crazy idiots that are here all night. Keep going, fellas. They're making fun of them. But they're outside doing their Batman and Joker, and there's plenty of Jokers, but this guy had the full-on suit and stuff. Even if he looked like a Joker who should be making flautas, but I mean, he's just, come on, seriously. So then the best part, so then we get inside, and everybody, it's assigned seats, so there's no real mix-up. Everybody knows where they're going, and it's very exciting. It's very palpable, the excitement in the theater. And then that Batman, he walks in, and he's still Batman. He thinks, even though the news crews are gone, and we're about to see the real Batman, if there is such a thing. I mean, look, I know there's no real Batman. But we're about to see a movie featuring as close as we can get to a real Batman, okay? Nobody wants to see Randy from Pasadena walking around in his bat outfit anymore. But it doesn't stop Randy from Pasadena because he's walking around with the cowl. And he's doing he's like walking and stopping and silently turning. Like, dude, you have no gravitas as fake Batman. None of us is going, well, hold on, fake Batman's making a move. If he had a grappling hook gun or whatever that's called, and shot it into the air and swung around, then I'd be like, all right, I'm on board with fake Batman. But to just walk around and give cursory glances as Batman, you're not intimidating anybody that way. You know what you are at that point? You're like a teacher during a test, walking around the room looking over it to see if anybody's cheating, but you're dressed as Batman. That's what you have. That's as much presence as you have right now. You're a 7th grade science teacher making sure that nobody has photosynthesis written on their palm. That's who you are. You're walking around, glancing at tests in your Batman outfit. And he would walk, and then, even worse is he plays it silent, which I guess, because later on we find out about Batman's voice, maybe he had laryngitis. Maybe he'd been so busy from fighting crime, Randy from Pasadena got some unfortunate laryngitis. Oh. Plenty of people dressed up. A Bruce Wayne showed up. And he had a Poison Ivy and a Catwoman with him. That was interesting, and that was my favorite one of the day because to go Bruce Wayne was smart. He had a tux and a white scarf, and he had the ladies with him. There was there were plenty of, like I said, Batman and Jokers. People just with the mask or the makeup, and the guys would show up with their girlfriend. And you know what? Go ahead and when you leave the theater, immediately marry that woman. Because if she's willing to go with you to the theater while you wear your Joker costume, that is a woman you do not want to let get away. That's probably a chick you can talk into some crazy shit in the bedroom. She is going to be on board for whatever you can come up with because she's out in public with you in your Joker outfit. God knows she's going to be happy to get a spin fuck chair or something and go to work with that. You're going to be filming everything from that point on. You'll probably even get to wear the Joker makeup. How great is that shot going to be if you going down on her in Joker makeup and then just the last shot is you shooting her inner thighs with white makeup all over them as the coda to your Joker porno film? Marry that woman. If she's going to go out with you, if she's not only is she to the fact that she went out is the huge step, but the fact that she was with you all day while you hopped up and down like a fourth grader talking about how you were going to dress up as the Joker for the big midnight show. Then she sat at home while you said, honey, do you have any lipstick I can borrow for my Joker approach this evening? I'd really like to see if you have anything, because you know what, honey? Should I use a sunscreen? What should I use? Is there a base or a rouge? I don't know. What should I do to be the Joker? And she put up with all that, watched you make up your face, drove to the theater with you in Joker makeup, having to endure every stoplight, people looking over and going, oh, who's this idiot? And not only who's this idiot, who's the girl? That's just that. Literally, if you ever looked over and seen anybody in weird makeup in a car and you just went, who's this idiot? And who's fucking that idiot? Because you know somebody's fucking that idiot. And in this case, it's that woman. And I'll tell you what, if she's willing to go through all of that and then go to the theater, marry her. Literally drive to Vegas. Come out of the theater, whatever time the movie ends, and don't even let her get away. Don't make sure she gets in the car, lock the fucking doors, and go marry her. Because you don't ever want a chance finding. It's like Savage Love is great. There's an advice column by Dan Savage called Savage Love, and people write for all sorts of sex advice. And people will say stuff like, hey, you know what? Here's the weird thing, Dan. I like sticking my dick in frozen turkeys. Now, the weird thing is my girlfriend's on board with it. But she and I are kind of having some problems. What do you think? What do I think? I think you need to lock that girl down. I can't imagine having that, hey, I like to put my dick in frozen turkeys conversation twice. Let alone having someone, a second person accepting it or being on board with it. When you got weird sex shit and you find somebody who's into it, stick with them. I don't give a fuck what they do. I don't care if they spend all your money. I don't care if they kill your dog. I don't care if they hate your mom or your mom hates them. If they are on board with your weird sex shit, then you stick around with them. You do not cut them loose in any way, shape, or form. They need to stick around because that is not a conversation you want to have a second time. Hey, I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I really like to wear plushie costumes filled with pudding. Is that going to be okay? I would love it if you were. And then if that woman says yes, that's it. You're done. Because you're never having. Because if you do wind up breaking up with that chick, let go of your plushy tapioca fetish. Because you don't ever want to find another girl that you have to have that conversation with. Yeah, just marry that chick. You don't want to let her get away. You are going to be eating Thanksgiving dinner with that girl for the rest of your life. And hopefully with a completely different turkey. You don't. you gotta make sure she buys a second turkey, because that is she definitely needs to be on. She knows, and the thing is, she knows to buy a second turkey. That's the thing. You're not gonna find another girl who's willing to buy two turkeys, because you're banging the shit out of one of them, and she's gonna put a nice brown on the other one. She's stuffing one and you're stuffing the other. Ah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I see how good I am at this, folks. That was beautiful. So yeah, I went and saw Batman. Hey, you know what? I went and saw Ricky Gervais do stand up. Ricky Gervais is the guy who created The Office and Extras, and both fantastic shows. And by both, I will say Extras is, because I have never seen The British Office. Sad, isn't it? Because I've taped it on BBC, but I have OCD. I have TV OCD, because I can't just watch something and go, oh, that's funny. I need to see it from beginning to end. Like, that's why I didn't watch The Wire. I missed the first couple episodes of The Wire and never caught them up, and then went, well, I can't ever watch The Wire until I get to watch it in order on DVD. So I guess I have TV DVD OCD. So I have to watch stuff from the beginning. It's pathetic and it's horrible, but that's what's in my brain. Hellboy. I have not seen Hellboy 2 because I'd never seen Hellboy. So I kept looking for Hellboy to tape, and then finally I just had to go out and get Hellboy. Like I went and got it and watched it, and I'll be honest with you, I wish I hadn't, quite frankly. But now I can at least see Hellboy 2 and see if it's better than Hellboy 1. But that's me. I have to go from the beginning to the end. So I've never seen The British Office. I will. And my buddy Pat keeps telling me he will give it to me, and then I can watch it. But I watched Extras, which I loved, and I loved the podcast, the Ricky Gervais Stephen Merchant, Carl Pilkington, the Ricky Gervais Show podcast, which was fantastic and was probably the mold for many of your favorite podcasts. But yeah, it's so I wanted to see him do stand up, and I will say this: his stand up was good for me. But it's weirder for a guy for a stand up who's been doing it for so long to go see a guy do stand up, because you're trying to figure out where he's going to go, and you're kind of trying to be one step ahead of him and figure out his punchlines and all that. He's really charming and really funny, and it was great. I had a great time at the show. But here's what happened. I almost got into a rumble at Ricky Gervais, and you wouldn't think that would happen because, it's the Ricky Gervais Show, and people are there to have a good time and enjoy themselves. And there's always, I guess, the soccer hooligan element, because he's a British guy, so you wonder maybe if some hooligans might show up, not unlike the hooligans at the Who Show the previous week. But I was, I go to, and let's put it this way, it was in the Kodak Theater, which is where they have the Academy Awards. And I'll be honest with you, after seeing Ricky Gervais in the Kodak Theater, that place is a dump. If that's where they're going to have the Academy Awards, there was graffiti on the seats in the section I was sitting in. I can only assume like a week before the Academy Awards, they come in and completely hoover the place out and paint everything and make sure it's okay. So, someone like Cary Grant isn't staring at, some gang sign written on a chair. Is Cary Grant even still alive? You know what? I was going to say Kevin Spacey, but in my head I went, you said Kevin Spacey a couple weeks ago in a reference that made no sense. You can't say Kevin Spacey again. And so I went Cary Grant because that's all I could come up with. That's terrible. So I'm sitting but it was like this, it was kind of dirty, and there was gum on my seat, under my seat, and there was graffiti in the section. I was literally like marker, like someone had written with permanent marker on the seat. And, which I don't understand at all. What kind of events are they having there that someone says, you know what, I'm going to bust out a permanent marker and scroll, West Side 86 Jokers on here. That makes no sense. By the way, if the West Side 86 Jokers are listening, I apologize for making fun of the Joker who came to the Joker. I'm sure he was one of yours. I don't want there to be any trouble. I mentioned I got into a rumble, but I don't want to rumble with you guys. I have no beef with you, West Side 86 Jokers. I made up a gang. That's funny. I just made up a gang. So, and apologize to them. I made up a gang and apologize to them so I wouldn't have to fight with them. Because somewhere somebody is going to form that gang just to be mad at me. Just so I have another enemy out there. This is like the Unbreakable. Right now, this is the origin story of the West Side 86 Jokers. They came into being when they heard me diss them. And they went, you can't diss us. Sure, we're not us yet, but we're about to be us. And when we're us, we're going to come and get you. So I go to see Gervais, and the Gervais show is fine. There's no rumble in the Gervais show. Everything's good. Here's what happens. The Kodak Theater is smack dab in the middle of a giant complex called Hollywood and Highland. Hollywood and Highland is located in Hollywood. Where is it? I got to think of the address exactly. It's at, Hollywood and Highland. So right on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Highland Ave. And the problem with it is, like I said, there's the Kodak, so that's fancy. And then it's got some fancy stores. And then the Man's Chinese Theater is part of it. And then every useless T-shirt shop in the world surrounds it. And every tourist on the planet comes here, and they film Dick Clark's star on the Walk of Fame, not realizing that it's just a sidewalk with letters on it. You know what? You might as well film the chair that said West Side 86 Jokers, because that's exactly the same thing. It's an object with writing on it. That's what it is. People film the stars on the Walk of Fame. Everybody's inevitably shoving their feet into Burt Reynolds' footsteps, and they're trying to, hey, my feet are bigger than Burt Reynolds. Yes, because he's 97 years old. But this is during Hooper. And although I don't think he put his footprints in during Hooper. I don't think that's when Man's Chinese said, oh, this is a great movie, Hooper. Don't you punch Terry Bradshaw in the face in this movie? You know what? We got to get your feet print in cement. Or footprints? Feet print? What's the plural of footprints? It's footprints, not feet print. We got to get your feet print? Terrible. But Reynolds is there, and it doesn't stop you from putting your feet in his footprints. But so it's literally it's this zoo where all the tourists go, and everybody's dressed up. There's guys trying to get money. So there'll be like Black Spider-Man is down there, and a really thin Superman. Just terrible. People and they want you to pose for pictures with them. It's awful. It is just like a community theater exploded. So that's who's down there. So the Kodak Theater's smack dab in the middle of civilization, which makes it a little less ritzy. So after Gervais, I go and hit the restroom. And the restroom in the Kodak itself was pretty packed, so I actually have to go out to the masses and go use the regular bathroom. There's a line in the men's room, so I'm waiting. And as I get inside, there's like two more people ahead of me, and there's the urinals, and there's a couple of stalls. And I look over by the sink, and there's an Asian guy there, and he's laughing. And he has put his son is probably like 4, 4-year-old son. He's standing on the sink, not in the sink. He's standing on the counter, because there's 3 sinks for you to wash your hands. His 4-year-old son is standing on the sink, pissing all over the place. Trying to piss into the sink, but he's 4, so he doesn't exactly have the exquisite dick control we all get as we get older, and he's just going off like a fucking fire hose, like all over the counter, and he's laughing. Ha ha ha, Daddy, isn't this funny? And even better, his father is laughing. Ha ha ha, isn't that great that my son is a fucking monster? So I'm in line, and I see it happening, and folks, someone has to step up in a situation like that. A hero must be born. Let me tell you, folks, someone needs to take on the yoke of responsibility and inform those people that a sink is not a toilet. And so I do that in the best and most concise possible way that I can. I turn around, I look at the guy, and I'm probably a foot taller than the guy because and he's like laughing, ha ha, they're laughing, ha. And there's people in the room, and they all kind of look, and I look over and I go, unfucking believable. And he looks up at me, and I go, you know what? You're a fucking animal. And I lean over, I get right in his face, and I go, you're a fucking animal. And he makes this face, and his kid is still laughing and pissing all over the place. And I go, who do you think you are? People, this is a fucking public restroom. What is wrong with you? And he immediately, because I was really angry. And I'm not going to beat the guy up, okay? Although I should have whipped his ass in front of his kid just for letting him do that. I mean, it was just that, because that guy needs an ass kicking. Don't you agree? I'll nod right now with your earbuds on. Yes, that guy absolutely needed to get his ass whipped. And but he immediately, like the kid, he just yanked the kid's pants up. The kid was still pissing, and he yanked the kid's pants up. That's how my message was received. He didn't even pinch the kid off. He didn't even. No, he just fucking went. He went and bagged and tagged him, threw him over his shoulder, and ran out of the bathroom. And then one guy looked at me and kind of nodded, like yeah. But then everybody else was looking at me like I'm insane. And you know what? I am insane. But am I any crazier than that guy that just let his kid go and Jackson Pollock the entire fucking sink area with his piss? I don't think so. I think that was out of line and wrong. And I think, you know what I should have done? I should have just walked up and punched the 4-year-old as hard as I could in the face. Just absolutely laid him out. And then looked at the dad and said, really? Huh? You think that was inappropriate? How inappropriate is pissing all over the sink? But I didn't, which is smart. Which I'm glad I didn't do. But then I was there to use the restroom. So then I used the restroom. And I decided I wasn't going to wash my hands in that area. But there were other people who had just come in, and they were leaning on this counter. They got, they're washing their hands in the sink. They're touching. And I just, and again, I'm not going to sit there all night and go, don't use the sink. Don't use the sink. But it's a little lesson for you to learn. Next time you go in and there's stuff all over the sink, don't use the sink, folks. Who knows what was in there? It's like I just read a story about how in New York, nudity is becoming a fun thing to do in Manhattan. Like nude restaurants and nude comedy shows. And the comedians are nude, but also they'll have a section where the audience can be nude. And also these restaurants, they said the waiters can't be nude because it's a health violation, but the people can be nude as you serve them food. And they call it, their food group is called No Hot Soup. Ha, ha, ha. Get it? We don't want any hot soup spilled on our laps. Oh, that's fantastic. Do me a favor. No one cares about hot soup, but when you're finished in this restaurant, burn the chairs. Could you do the general public a favor and just set fire to the chairs that are covered in your ball sweat? No one wants to eat what came out of your ass, what secreted from your ass as you were knocking down some foie gras in the middle of Manhattan naked. Really? Is that what we have to do? Can you just wait? Did you see I Am Legend? Can you wait till you're that guy to eat naked in New York? Can you wait until you're the last person in New York to eat naked in a restaurant? That's awful. What is the point? These guys are like, oh yeah, it's we just like doing it. We like doing it. What do you mean you like doing it? Nobody thinks that. Nobody in their head is just like, God damn, this is good Jello. I wish I didn't have my pants on. Oh, Christ. You know what would make this steak taste better? If my balls were sticking to this leather chair. Oh, that would be fantastic. I can't possibly enjoy this vichyssoise without my vagina exposed. Stop eating naked. You want to eat naked, eat in your house. That's why you bought a house. You can eat naked in there. Then when your friends come over, they can all worry about sitting on your kitchen chairs and sitting in your living room and wondering what you were doing while you were playing World of Warcraft. As you ate Pop-Tarts with your balls swinging. Jesus Christ, stay out of the restaurants naked or put on some goddamn pants. You're a grown man. Naked comedy show. They said it was. Oh, it was great. It was. It got people right on your side immediately because like they recognized the vulnerability. Look, I'm a comedian. The last thing I want people to recognize is my vulnerability on stage. I mean, I can be vulnerable in the sense as like, hey, we're all in this together. I don't want to be vulnerable in the way that like, hey, wow, you're fat and naked. Holy mackerel. I mean, do you really want to give hecklers more ammunition? It's bad enough hecklers are going to be like, you suck, but now hecklers going to be like, nice mole. I mean, I don't want that to happen. Awful. Just put some clothes on. I don't get it. Who wants to be that? You know, and the thing is, this is coming from a guy who, like I said, I'm naked in my house all the time. I sleep naked, and and that's who I am. But I sleep naked. That's it. I'm not up in my house naked. You know, if I was on the computer naked, then it would be like weird. Oh, but I never. You know what? It's funny. I listened to the show. Remember when I told you there was a cop in my courtyard at 3 a.m? I never finished what happened. I stood up. And my belt was undone from sitting. I was sitting at the computer, and it was just like for some reason my belt was tight, so I untightened my belt as I was. Because 3 a.m, who cares? Then when I stood up to talk to the cops, my belt's undone as I get it from the computer. It looks like I'm sitting there jerking off at 3 a.m. with all the lights on. I'm like, hey cops, can I help you fellas? Yeah. First, you want to do something about the downstairs action there? Maybe. Tighten your belt, and it's not like nothing was unzipped or anything like that, but still, when your belt's undone, it does look bad. And also, I'm a guy who can't. This is weird. This just happened in the past few weeks. I've started leaving my pants unzipped. Like I forget to zip my pants. I'm old, man. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me, but that's like 5 times in the past 3 weeks at the theater and different places. So maybe I shouldn't be yelling at these people who are eating naked food because I'm walking around, as your grandpa would say, barn door open. Waiting for an escape, waiting for my wild stallion to go charging out into the wild. Wild stallion. Yes, Bill and Ted. That's what I call my balls, Bill and Ted. And my cock is an excellent adventure, folks. Wild stallions! I don't know why, but literally like 5 times in 3 weeks I've not zipped my pants. And then like, going, what the hell? Who doesn't zip their pants? What am I doing from urinal to sink that I forget? Maybe I think I'm going to come upon a child urinating all over the place. Maybe, and I don't have time to zip up because I want to threaten his father with bodily harm right in front of him. I still don't think I was out of line, man. He was wailing on the joint like he had a can of silly string at a Nickelodeon show, and he's just flying. Man, don't let your kid do that. That's as bad as when people let their. You know what? I don't have kids, all right, but I have rules about kids. If I had kids, don't. Bring a little girl into the men's room. If she's like 8, this guy, I understand if you're with your daughter or whatever you got to do, that's fine. You got to do it. But this guy, I was at the mall, and this guy brought his 8-year-old daughter in, and he used the urinal. He didn't even bring her into the little house so he could go to the bathroom and keep her in there. And I'm using the urinal. He brings her in, he takes the urinal next to me, and she's standing between us and just like looking up at me like, hey, how you doing? Well, I was doing a lot better before I got performance anxiety from Annie. Unreal. I mean, I'm trying to use the restroom here, and then it's at the urinal, little girl standing there, and she's right about eye level. So if I do a shake, that's going to traumatize this girl forever. So now I got to stand there and wait for her to take a walk away before I can even get the little shake off. Because she's going to immediately, because I know I'm frozen and I'm waiting there and I'm looking and I make eye contact with her, which is really horrible because it's like there's nothing worse than eye contact with an 8-year-old girl with your cock in your hand. I'm going to tell you that, folks. That is terrible. And I'm at the urinal and I look and I'm just like, and it's just like, you know what? And I don't even want to say, because part of me wants to be funny because I recognize that how ludicrous the situation is. So I just want to go, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? But you can't even. But believe me, how creepy is that going to sound? As I got a fistful of private parts, and I look down and I go, hey, how you doing? Oh, awful. Next thing you know, I'm in handcuffs, and I don't even get to zip up, which is okay because that seems to fit my motif these days. But she's looking, and I know if I give it a shake, she's immediately, because she's looking for any movement at all, and I'm looking, so I'm just looking forward, and if I even give it a shake, she's gonna go, Daddy, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Because little kids don't know. Little kids are all about why, and the last thing I'm gonna do is explain to her, the rules of taking a fucking leak. She shouldn't be in the men's room. Get her out of there. You know what? Take her into the ladies, or at least take her into the house. Take her into the the stall, the house. I call it the house, folks. Because I like to move in there and I have cable. All right. You guys can write me. Go ahead and write me, Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. I know that seems futile because a lot of you have sent me emails that I haven't answered recently, and I'm going to apologize for that right now. It's because, I'd love to give you the John Belushi and just kneel down and say, there was a flood and locusts and it wasn't my fault, but I'm a lazy prick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been, all about Dark Knight and The Who and doing real things. And, this show also, we recorded on one day, and then the next day I've got to write like 4 communiques and put those up. And then I've got like 5 days of nothing. So, God, why don't I answer an email? Well, I will. I promise. If you've sent me an email and it hasn't been answered, it will be answered this week at some point. I promise. See, because another thing is I don't write I'm stupid. I can't just write a thanks for the email. I appreciate it. I have to write like a real thing because I always feel like I'm cheating people if I don't respond to them personally. Which is great until you look at your email box and there's 175 emails. And then you're like, wow, I've got to write 175 short stories. So I've got that ahead of me. So please send me emails, Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You will receive a response. I promise. You can also get me at myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Go ahead and leave me a note there. And you can also subscribe in iTunes to the show. Go ahead and subscribe there at iTunes. And leave feedback on there, reviews for the show. We're over 100 reviews, folks. Woo! Yes. And I think upwards of 4 of them are positive. So that's a good percentage, right? Is that a good percentage? I don't know. So go ahead and leave a review on iTunes. That'd be great. And subscribe to the show. You can always hear the show at my website, MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can always hear it at MySpace. That's streaming on both of those places. And also, don't forget to go to ComedyFilmNerds.com and read any articles and stuff that I have there. The last one I wrote was the preview of The Dark Knight, and I should have a review or a column up eventually. Maybe. I don't know. There's a rotation and a thing. And by a rotation, it means I'm going to be very busy answering emails this week, so I don't know if I'm going to have any time to write a column. I may write a column about how difficult it is to answer emails. How much would that piss off all you email people? If I wrote an actual column about how difficult it was to answer emails. I'm a jack off. So go ahead. That's Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com and MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. And also go to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review there. Also wanted to remind you folks that Never Not Funny Season 1, the CDs are available. I don't know if it's... Well, actually, the Never Not Funny CD is available through iTunes, but the Never Not Funny Season 1, which is 59 really great episodes and 1 awkward episode. I think. I don't know. I didn't get the package, so I don't know if they included 60 in there. They might have. But Never Not Funny was a podcast that I did with Jimmy Pardo and Matt Belknap, and for 59 episodes, which was great. And then I was subsequently removed from the program, and then they did episode 60 to explain where I went. So that's a great one. You know what? If I was you, I'd listen to just by episode 60, because that's got to be worth whatever you're paying. But you can get to the link through the store on my website. If you go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and click store or merchandise, I forget what the link says, but click on it. It'll take you right to the aspecialthing.com store, and you can buy Never Not Funny Season 1 and do that and enjoy it and hear what it was like when I actually spoke with other human beings. Go ahead and listen to that show and realize what it was like when people could tolerate me and actually decided that I was fun to talk to. Go ahead and listen to Never Not Funny Season 1 when I wasn't relegated to the ghetto of talking into space alone. But Never Not Funny Season 1, a huge success, runaway hit. So go ahead and buy that because I get money from it, and God knows I need money. That's right. Because more money to go out and visit the public and see more of these kids out urinating on sinks. That makes no sense. And it's so funny. And I'm in there and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I can't believe this kid's urinating in the sink. And then I snapped. And I'm like, don't make me snap. This kid's urinating in the sink. I can't believe it. No, it's okay. It's okay if the kid goes ahead and urinates in the sink, but it's not really. That's okay to snap. If Kevin was mad at that, then I could be on board with it. Go ahead, Kevin. Be pissed off at a kid marinating. He's marinating on a sink because he was pissing Italian dressing all over the place, folks. Unbelievable. I can't believe he was doing it. But, if you're going to get pissed off at that, then that's fine. That's something that can make you snap. But don't sit there and just be like, oh, goddamn raisins. Don't make me snap, raisins. You used to be grapes. Are you raisins? Go ahead and make up your mind. Are you delicious? Are you juicy? Are you dry? What are you doing now? I can't believe it. No, Kevin, it's okay. Raisins can be whatever you want them to be. They're just a delicious snack. They used to be grapes, and now they're raisins. It doesn't mean that they're bad. No, but I can't believe it. Just make up your mind. Are you going to be dry or are you going to be juicy? Kevin, it's okay. No, Kevin, raisins are fine. Let's not worry about raisins so much. I just don't understand why you're giving raisins a hard time. Oh, I'm giving a hard time. Oh, don't make me snap, giving you a hard time. Why do I give you a hard time? I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.